than that. Makes me think of some stuff. At least some tales. You know, there's one story that comes to mind. Well, you might know. Yeah, I guess I probably told you that one too. Stories, they do stay with me. I have to tell them at least. There's only two types. Either for education or communication. To help others, which I hope I do for him. Or to spread who you are. Sometimes I forget which of the two camps I'm in, but can't help but spread them. Or just force it on other people. Could be that. But either way, they stay with me. Or they'll rot with me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a story to tell. Yeah. My story started with my own old man. Father, if you needed any explanation. And like any father, he had stories to tell. Many of them he'd share with me. Of his days, his experiences, his life, who he was, and he'd give it all to me. And, of course, as age does to you, he'd eventually have to go to the hospital. His throat started getting bigger and bigger. Swelling. Getting larger. I guess with all the stuff he had to talk about, he started to run thin. Back then, I had to start feeding him something. It was like... Ever heard of thicker water? It was something like that. You know, the stuff they give old folks? Funny saying that now that I'm starting to get his age. And so it was a thick liquid. Because for old men getting older, they needed that sort of thing. They needed it thick so it could go down easier. I always thought it was disgusting. Like toxic sludge, blackened soot, or oils and garbage from all around just piled together, or tar. like tar, stuff that pulled in dinosaurs, at least the unlucky ones, pulling them farther and farther until they were left decomposing. All of that going down my old man's throat. I'd feed him that stuff 3 or 4 times a day. Just him chugging down that long cup of that stuff. And you'd think, with all the stuff he was dealing with, he wouldn't be much of a chatterbox. But, well, that wasn't entirely the case. He could make his voice just keep going. Even if it screamed in pain, he'd make it work. All just to tell me another story. His stories would ping-pong between sweet memories and poor ideas. He'd focus on morals and messages that seemed to never apply to me, for times and feelings I'd never have. I didn't know if he was trying to educate me or press something onto his past self. Even still, I'd sit next to his bed and listen. At this point, I had enough of listening to his stories. I began to hate them. I wanted my own stories to have them to tell myself. But no matter what it was, he wouldn't want to hear them. Of course, it was his stories to tell, while I just sat in the back, trying to tell my own life. By this point, I'd been pouring that stuff down his throat for a good while, listening to his stories like an obligation. Till one day, he just kept on drinking. The bottle seemed to have no end. I kept pouring that thing down his throat. More and more and more and more. After that, he didn't really have much stories to tell. It then became my time. My life.